Have you heard about Mercury's retrograde and how it can affect our day-to-day life? Or maybe that there are aliens hiding in Area 51? Or that getting a COVID vaccine can potentially kill us? Or maybe that Jupiter saves us from asteroid collisions? Popular science is flooded with misinformation, and at times it can be confusing whom to trust and whom to not. Hello, I'm Rashmi Sharon.
I'm Kshitij Pandey.
And I'm Saurabh. And we are making this video to debunk some examples of misinformation in popular science.
How to check credibility of the sources
And the importance of science communication, or SciComm in short. So without any further ado, let's get started. Before we start, what exactly is popular science anyways? It's something like popular music that is intended for the general audience irrespective of their backgrounds. It should not be confused with science journalism, which mainly focuses on the recent scientific developments. Popular science is very broad ranging and it comes in many different forms like TV series, books, movies or podcast, interview, magazines, and more of which is also digitally available on social media. Our motivation behind making this video also comes from our encounters with misinformed science content gaining popularity on social media. For example, this video of Perseverance rover, like the video claims that it is captured from the Perseverance rover from Mars of the night sky there, or this other one which says that this is a particular place on Earth where moon looks so big, or this one where we talk about astrophysics.
So our planet, solar system, like the 8 planets that we have, a couple of dwarf planets and the sun, that's our solar system. Then trillions of stars like that in our galaxy. Our galaxy is Milky Way galaxy. Then there are a couple of galaxies around us. One is Andromeda galaxy, and there are some smaller galaxies around us. These are our local group.
If you haven't watched the last video, that's cool, as it does more harm than good. Most of you may be knowing at least one of these guys, but if you don't, this video was shared on Beer Biceps Instagram account, which looks like a snippet of the podcast episode hosted by social media entrepreneur Ranveer Allahabadia with the content creator Abhiraj Rajadhyaksh from the Abhi and New. First of all, I want to congratulate them for talking about science, and that too casually on such a big platform where it could reach to millions of people. But maybe it got way too casual, because some of the statements by the guest were far from being accurate. Let's break it down clip by clip.
Now, black holes are so mysterious that around 100 years ago, Einstein came up with a concept of black hole where all the rules fail. But we did not have a proof that a black hole exists till last year.
Okay.
We did not have a proof that black holes exist till last year.
Albert Einstein's general theory of relativity predicted the existence of a black hole when a physicist named Carl Schwarzschild found a solution to his general theory of relativity to characterize a black hole. Then came the term black hole. 1970s detection of a strong X-ray black hole, proper motion of stars orbiting near the center of Milky Way, tracking since 1995, detection of gravitational waves in 2015, and now the image of MET7, supermassive object casting a shadow-like structure. These are strong hints of the presence of a black hole.
Okay, so a wormhole is if you have a piece of paper and if you imagine an ant going from one corner of the paper to the other corner of the paper, it will have to travel the entire distance. All right, but imagine if we fold the paper in the middle, then the ant can instantly go from one corner to the other corner without having to travel that distance.
Wormholes aren't exactly what you see in sci-fi movies like Interstellar. They are purely hypothetical and mathematical. Even if they exist, they are very unstable. Yes, there is a mathematical formulation where two black holes are bridged via a wormhole-like structure, but it's pure mathematical and hypothetical. We haven't found any source which can strongly hint towards the presence of a wormhole.
So now, if there is a black hole, then possibly there is a white hole somewhere as well. Like two sides of a coin, that's what people say. That a moving black hole can be a white hole to some other dimension, probably another universe as well. But we have not observed it. This is all science fiction right now.
Everything is moving in space. Earth is moving around the sun is moving around the center of Milky Way, and our Milky Way galaxy is itself rotating. So movement in space is not absolute. A better term to define these type of black holes is either spinning or rotating black holes or accelerating black holes. I will not go into much depth there because there is a lot of mathematics involved. And by the way, astrophysicists have been observing the evidence of black holes for a few decades now through different electromagnetic spectra or gravitational waves. So I hope this breakdown gives you a better understanding. And don't just take my word for it, as in the description you can find credible resources which you can go through. Which brings us to the next part.
How to check the credibility of the speaker. On social media, you can find a diverse range of content creators who make content on specific topics. Abhi and New themselves have made many well-researched videos. The first thing is to check that whether the person is an expert or not. If they are experts, then it's a good sign. But that does not mean that people without degree cannot talk about science. Of course they can. The next step would be check for the things like, do they cite or mention the sources of information in their videos or post or blog? Are they giving credits or adding link to the further resources in the description or caption? These details really matter a lot because it can tell you about the sources. Now the next question is, what actually is a credible source? So we have to look for original sources like the actual research from archive or the official public release of scientific breakthrough. Citing your own blog or link someone else is not a good source because it may be biased, and then we will have to further check for their sources. So the best thing is to consume the content of the people who refer to the original sources and not news headline or copy paste. For example, many science pages on Instagram just take the news headline and put it with a space image, and that's it. And you know that news people are always hyping things unrealistically. And then other pages just recycle the content, which is an endless loop. So you should be very careful. It does not matter how big a page is. If they are putting out a low effort content, then you should not follow them. And if you are a content creator, then making controversial stuff is an easy way to get ahead and to get a lot of attention. But it is not a good way to grow because there are still so many people who think that moon landing was fake or the earth is flat. These things are the reason why people find it hard to trust science. Being skeptical or talking about unproven science like single electron universe is a good if you do proper research, but conspiracy theories are just extreme. If you are interested in going through some of the best credible resources, then find them in the description below. Some examples like physics.org or Fermilab, Archive, Scientific American Journal, research paper, there seems to be a credible sources. And if you think that it is too much of a work, then you can follow some of our favorite science communicator for whom quality matters than quantity.
The examples of misinformed science content we have used in this video are mainly from these big platforms, as we feel they have more responsibility. One way this could have been avoided, for instance, if the host of the podcast could have kept these questions for an astrophysicist, or else the next best thing could be if a scientific team, before publishing this video online, if they could check it so that these factual errors could have been caught. And this goes for anyone else too. Like before you're publishing a video and you are not at all an expert in that, but you just love the topic. So before publishing it online, you can get it checked by either a friend who studies the subject, for example, or maybe a professor who is an expert, so that you can catch these factual errors. Because if you're talking about science and it's not correct, then it's not really doing a good job. And this process is also followed by most science communicators. And I have been using this term of science communication or science communicators. So what exactly are these people doing, or who are they? Science communicators are the people who talk about a scientific topic to a non-expert. So this could be, for instance, could be if a biologist is talking or explaining their research to someone who is an engineer. So even though both of these people are expert, they do not understand their each other's technical terms. And that is where science communication comes into play, because then you can talk about any topic you want to any particular audience, and it will be in a way that it is easy to understand and follow. You may be wondering, why should you take this video seriously, or how can you trust us? Like, who are we? So personally, for me, I have been doing practicing and training in science communication for more than 3 years now, and I have worked with LIGO India, DBT, India Alliance, and DST, and also a handful of other edtech startups in the same field. And also the same goes for Saurabh and Kshitij, who are astrophysics researchers, and they have been involved in SciComm themselves. Saurabh even started a student organization called Stellar Universe. And we started doing science communication in bachelor's, although for Kshitij he started doing even in high school. So there is no particular age or any specific requirements to start talking about science or to make content within an intention to spread awareness, because the more science communicators we have, the better. And also, our professors and scientists are so used to conveying science in a way that is full of jargon that when it comes to talking about the same in just a matter of few minutes, whether it's creative or more engaging, it can be challenging. But let's just admit there's a huge need for that, because even though our generation has the attention span of less than a goldfish, we still want to know and understand how cool science is, like what's going on in this world, how does that happen. And so just like feel free to explore this field of SciComm either as a hobby or even as a profession. And well, thanks for watching this video. That's all. Let us know your views in the comments below and share this video as much as possible.